morning everyone. Today we are going to discuss anti-anginal drug. This is second unit from B Pharmacy 5th semester, third year. So today we will discuss about the anti-anginal drug. The points which I am going to discuss are angina pectoris, types of angina, anti-anginal drugs and their classifications. So first of all we will discuss what is angina pectoris. So angina pectoris is basically a symptom of ischemic heart disease. So somewhere when suddenly a person is suffering with the chest pain or in a kind of imbalancing, basically angina pectoris is a symptomatic situation in which the supply of oxygen and the demand of oxygen is imbalanced, and due to this imbalancing a person is suffering with a severe pain or the sudden pressing, any kind of heart pain, the sudden pain a person is feeling, and this a principal symptom ischemic heart disease is very acute level. So angina pectoris is a symptomatic situation, you can say it is a syndrome in which a person is suffering with the imbalancing of oxygen level, whatever the supply of oxygen from the environment and whatever the oxygen, whatever the amount of oxygen required for an individual. So this is angina pectoris. Angina pectoris is manifested by the sudden severe pressing, substernal pain, and often radiates to the left shoulders and along the flexor surface of the left arm, usually participated by exercises, excitement or a heavy meal after this kind of situations are created. So type of angina. Anginas are basically pain is commonly induced by the exercise, excitement or heavy meal. This is typical angina or the classical angina or very simple type. Okay. Secondary to advanced atherosclerosis of the coronary vessels associated with the ST segment depression on the ECG. So this is a typical kind of angina. So the second type of angina is variant angina. Variant angina is prismatal angina. This pain induced while at rest, a person is in rest, associated with the segment elevation on ECG or secondary or vasospasm of coronary vessel. And third is unstable angina. Unstable angina may involve coronary spasm and may also have the component of atherosclerosis. The duration of manifestation is longer than the 2 minutes and has the manifestation of myocardial interactions. So first of all we have discussed in the earlier slide the typical angina, that is very short term angina or a very short period angina, and the unstable angina is taking more time, the more than 10 minutes and or more than 2 minutes, sorry, not 10, it's 2 minutes. Myocardial ischemia which produce angina result from imbalancing in myocardial oxygen supply and the demand relationship as a decreased oxygen supply or increased oxygen demand. So how these are working actually? Some of anti-anginal drugs are working decrease the oxygen supply or increase the oxygen demand. Either they are decreasing oxygen supply or they are increasing oxygen demand, or both the things are going simultaneously. This also. Determination of the myocardial oxygen supply. Myocardial oxygen supply can be coronary blood flow determined by the perfusion pressure, duration of diastole, coronary bed resistance, arteriovenous oxygen difference, this can be also created, and major determinants wall stress, intraventricular pressure, ventricular volume, wall thickness, heart rate and contractility. These are the actually points on the basis of which we can determine the myocardial oxygen demand, how much oxygen is required. Now we will discuss about the anti-anginal drugs. These were the defining terms which you should know. What is angina, what is angina pectoris. So now we come on this situation. Angina is three types we already studied. Angina pectoris, it's symptomatic or you can say the syndrome. And anti-anginal drugs. Anti-anginal drugs is the drug which is used in the treatment of angina pectoris or a symptom of ischemic heart disease. Ischemic heart disease. So anti-anginal drugs are the drugs which are maintaining or managing the balance of oxygen demand and oxygen supply, the amount of oxygen supplied from the environment and this amount of oxygen required in the blood. Okay, so basically anti-anginal drugs are the managers which are managing the supply and the demand of oxygen in the body. Classification. Anti-anginal drugs are three types. We can classify their on the basis of their mechanism of work. These are three types. So one is vasodilators, second is calcium channel blockers, and third are beta blockers. So first of all, we will discuss about the vasodilators. Vasodilators are the drugs molecule which are actually dilating the blood vessels or the veins and the arteries, so that arteries or the veins are dilated and having some space, so the blood can flow easily and the blocks can easily open. This dilation is cracking the blockage in the veins or arteries, arteries, so that blood can easily flow. Okay, these are the vasodilators. Vasodilators are creating the dilation in the vessels or veins. Calcium channel blockers actually the drug molecules which are blocking the migration of calcium ion in the calcium channel, so that this calcium channel is responsible for the stiffness of veins and arteries, and when this calcium ion migration stops, then veins and arteries can easily dilate and have some space, so that oxygen can easily flow with the blood. Okay, these calcium channel blockers are also lowering the blood pressure, and lowering the blood pressure, it means oxygen supply is sufficient. Lowering the blood pressure and increasing the flow of blood, and increasing the flow of blood, and with the flowing blood, oxygen is also. The third is beta blockers. Beta blockers is another type of calcium channel blocker which are blocking the passage of beta molecules, beta ions, and the other electrolytes. Okay, so now we will discuss about the vasodilators. Vasodilators are the medication that open or dilate the blood vessel. As I earlier said, they affect the muscles in the walls of your arteries and veins, preventing the muscles from tightening and the walls from narrowing. So wherever the muscles or the veins are narrow or the arteries are narrow, they are working and made them dilate or made them flat, so that as a result blood flow more easily through your vessels. In the blood vessels, blood can easily flow. Your heart rate doesn't have to pump as hard, reducing your blood pressure. So this is the work of vasodilator. The basic function remain same in every case of vasodilators. So first of all, we will discuss some drug molecule which comes under the head vasodilators. Then we will discuss about the calcium channel blockers and the beta blockers later on. So amyl nitrate is the first drug which comes under the head this vasodilators. Amyl nitrate is a chemical compound which is having formula C5H11ONO. So this is an alkyl derivative of nitrate. It's easily working. It's very simple molecule and it is working as anti-anginal. A variety of isomers are known. So the carbon chain can be branch or can straight or can multiple functional. On the basis of carbon chain, many isomers are also possible. So but they all are features in amyl nitrate. So either pentyl nitrate or the isopentyl nitrate, isopropyl nitrate. So the 4-5 carbon, the carbon will remain 5, hydrogen will remain 11, and oxygen and NO2 group. So whichever the structure is possible, that all comes under the amyl nitrate. All the alkyl nitrate with the 5 carbon at 11H and nitro created drug amyl nitrate, and basically it is actually the combination of 2-3 isomers. The alkyl group is unreactive and the chemically and biological properties are mainly due to the nitrite group. So amyl nitrite actually, like other alkyl nitrite, amyl nitrite is bioactive in mammals, being vasodilator, which is the basis of its use as a prescription medicine. As an inhalant, it also has a psychoactive effect which has led to its recreational use, with its smell being described as that old socks or dirty feet. So what I am trying to speak, this amyl nitrite is a drug which is in which nitro group is basically responsible for the biological activity and the alkyl group is basically providing the structural stability. So the chromophore part is alkyl group and the pharmacophore part is nitro group. How can we synthesize this amyl nitrite? Amyl nitrite can be synthesized with alcohol and nitric acid. nitrous acid, HNO2 this is. Okay, so HNO2 and alcohols both are combining together and forming RNO2. So this is R, on the removal of water this can be formed. And an esterification reaction we have studied, in which this is basically an esterification reaction in which alcohol and acids both are combining together, on removal they are forming an addition product, and which will be ester. So this reaction basically from the organic chemistry point of view, this is esterification reaction, because a kind of ester is forming, and esters are formed on the combination of alcohol and acids. So nitrous acid is not at all an organic acid, this is inorganic acid. So one inorganic molecules are combining together and forming amyl nitride. Okay, so the reaction is esterification, but product is not ester, just because acid is not organic. This is only the reason. So synthesis of alkyl nitride is in general straightforward and can be accomplished in home laboratories. So this is very simple synthesis, and it's very simply can generate. Whichever the alcohol you took ethanol, then ethyl nitrate will be formed. But if you have to take the alcohol with the 5 carbons, okay, so it will the straight pantanol you can use, isopropyl alcohol you can isobutyl alcohol you can use, and tertiary propyl, you can say that the branch or the straight chain, the 5 carbon membered ring alcohol is required to create this kind of amyl nitride. Amyl comes under 5 carbons. So here we need 5 carbon structure. Thank you. In the next lecture we will discuss some more drug molecules related to this genera of vasodilators, nitroglycerin and some more. Thank you everyone.